Once upon a time, Japan was home to hundreds of amusement parks. From giant theme parks inspired by Disneyland to small local attractions, these places were filled with laughter, excitement, and joy. But today, many of them are gone. What happened? Why did so many amusement parks close down? The golden age of Japanese amusement parks began in the 1960s and 70s. It was a time of economic growth when families had more disposable income, and theme parks became the perfect destination for a day of fun. From the famous Dreamland in Nara, modeled after Disneyland, to local parks filled with Ferris wheels, roller coasters, and haunted houses, there was something for everyone. But as the decades passed, things started to change. The first big challenge was Japan's declining birth rate. With fewer children, amusement parks had fewer visitors. Many family-owned theme parks struggled to survive. Then came the economic downturns. The bursting of Japan's economic bubble in the 1990s hit the entertainment industry hard. Families were spending less on leisure, and in a world where video games and home entertainment were becoming more popular, fewer people wanted to visit amusement parks. Then, a new giant entered the stage, Universal Studios Japan. When USJ opened in Osaka in 2001, it attracted millions of visitors. Suddenly, small amusement parks seemed outdated. People wanted high-quality attractions, thrilling rides, and movie-themed experiences. Even Tokyo Disneyland expanded, adding new rides and attractions. In this new era, smaller parks simply couldn't compete. One by one, amusement parks began to close. From big names like Nara Dreamland to small, family-owned attractions, these once thriving parks became ghost towns. Some were demolished. Others were left abandoned, their rides rusting, their once colorful signs fading into the past. But strangely, these abandoned amusement parks didn't disappear from people's minds. Instead, they became a new kind of attraction. People started visiting these forgotten places. Some came for nostalgia, others for adventure, and some simply to capture the eerie beauty of abandoned rides and roller coasters. Why do these abandoned amusement parks still captivate us? What is it about these forgotten places that continues to draw people in? To find out, let's explore some of Japan's most famous abandoned theme parks, starting with one of the most legendary, Nara Dreamland. In the heart of Nara, there once stood a grand amusement park, a place of dreams, laughter, and excitement. It was called Nara Dreamland, and it was supposed to be Japan's very own Disneyland. But instead of becoming a fairy tale success story, it became a forgotten ruin, a ghost park of abandoned rides and crumbling dreams. The story of Nara Dreamland begins in 1961, when a Japanese businessman named Kunizu Matsuo had a bold idea. Inspired by the magic of Disneyland in California, he wanted to bring the same experience to Japan. At first, everything seemed perfect. He even negotiated with Walt Disney himself to create an official Disneyland in Japan. But in the end, the deal fell apart. Disney demanded too much control, and the partnership was never finalized. Undeterred, Matsuo decided to build the park anyway, without Disney's approval. The result was a park that looked eerily similar to Disneyland, but without the famous characters. A castle stood at the entrance, just like Disneyland's Sleeping Beauty Castle. There was even a main street, an old-fashioned train, and pirate-themed attractions. For visitors who had never seen the real Disneyland, Nara Dreamland felt magical. For decades, the park thrived. Families came from all over Japan to ride the coasters, eat cotton candy, and make memories. But then, something changed. In 1983, Tokyo Disneyland opened. And suddenly, people had a choice. They could visit the real Disneyland instead of a copy. Visitor numbers at Nara Dreamland started to decline. Slowly but surely, the magic began to fade. By the 2000s, the park was struggling. Attractions became outdated. Maintenance costs grew too high. And in 2006, the gates closed for good. But that wasn't the end of Nara Dreamland's story. Instead of being demolished right away, the park was left abandoned, a ghostly reminder of a dream that never came true. For years, urban explorers, photographers, and thrill-seekers snuck into the abandoned park. They walked through the silent streets, climbed onto rusting roller coasters, and took eerie photos of a forgotten world. Eventually, in 2017, the park was completely demolished. Today, there is nothing left but memories. Nara Dreamland was meant to be a dream come true, but in the end, it became a different kind of dream, a memory, a mystery, a ghost of what could have been. But it wasn't the only abandoned amusement park in Japan. There are others, each with their own haunting story. Let's explore the next one, the legendary island of Gunkanjima. In the middle of the ocean, off the coast of Nagasaki, lies a mysterious island. A place that was once full of life, but is now completely abandoned. With its towering concrete buildings and desolate streets, it looks more like the setting of a dystopian movie than a real place. This is Gunkanjima, Battleship Island. But why was this island abandoned? And why do so many people still visit it today? To understand, we need to go back more than a century. In the late 1800s, Japan was rapidly modernizing. Coal was the fuel that powered this transformation. And beneath this small island, there was coal, a lot of it. In 1890, Mitsubishi bought the island and turned it into a massive coal mining operation. Workers and their families moved here, and soon, this tiny island became one of the most densely populated places on Earth. At its peak, over 5,000 people lived on Gunkanjima, all packed into an area just 480 meters long and 160 meters wide. Life on Gunkanjima was unlike anywhere else. The island had apartment buildings, schools, shops, even a movie theater. To maximize space, buildings were built taller and taller, creating a mini metropolis in the middle of the sea. But despite its thriving community, Gunkanjima's fate was sealed. In the 1960s, Japan moved away from coal and switched to oil. One by one, coal mines across the country shut down, and in 1974, Gunkanjima was abandoned almost overnight. Families left their homes. Schools were abandoned. The movie theater played its last film. Within days, the island became a ghost town. For decades, Gunkanjima was left untouched, slowly decaying in the salty sea air. But instead of being forgotten, the island became a legend. Photos of the abandoned city spread across the internet. Urban explorers risked everything to sneak onto the island. And then, something unexpected happened. In 2015, Gunkanjima was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Suddenly, the ghost island was open to the public. Tourists could now visit legally, riding boats to see the ruins up close. But even today, much of the island remains off-limits. Crumbling buildings and collapsing staircases make it too dangerous to explore fully. Gunkanjima is a time capsule, a frozen moment from Japan's industrial past. It's a reminder of how quickly things can change and how entire cities can disappear in an instant. But it's not the only abandoned place in Japan with a haunting past. Next, we visit another lost wonder, the robot restaurant in Shinjuku. Deep in the heart of Shinjuku, there was once a place unlike any other. A neon-lit wonderland, a fusion of robots, music, and madness. A place that felt like stepping into a cyberpunk dream. This was the robot restaurant. And now, it's gone. But how did this futuristic spectacle become one of Japan's most famous attractions? And why did it disappear? The story of the robot restaurant began in 2012. At a cost of over 10 billion yen, it was designed to be a one-of-a-kind experience, combining high-energy performances with massive robots, LED screens, and blaring techno music. From the moment you entered, you were bombarded with lights, lasers, and dancers dressed in futuristic armor. It wasn't just a show, it was a full sensory overload. At first, it seemed like a strange novelty, a bizarre mix of Japanese pop culture, anime aesthetics, and pure chaos. But soon, it became a global sensation. Tourists from around the world flocked to see it. Celebrities, YouTubers, and influencers raved about its mind-blowing performances. And even Hollywood stars like Will Smith and Katy Perry were spotted enjoying the show. It wasn't just a restaurant, it was a must-see attraction, a symbol of Tokyo's wild, futuristic nightlife. But then, something happened that no one saw coming. In 2020, the world changed. The COVID-19 pandemic shut down tourism almost overnight. With no foreign visitors, Robot Restaurant struggled. And in 2021, it closed its doors indefinitely. The neon lights went dark, the music stopped, and the robots stood still, abandoned in the silence. But even after it closed, the legend of Robot Restaurant lived on. Fans shared memories, videos, and photos of the incredible performances. Rumors spread that it might reopen one day, but so far, nothing has happened. Today, the building still stands, but it's empty. The once bustling entrance is now just a quiet reminder of what was. Robot Restaurant was more than just a show, it was a symbol of Japan's wild creativity, a glimpse into a neon-drenched future that never quite arrived. Its closure was a sign of the times, a reminder that even the most dazzling lights can fade. But Robot Restaurant is not the only futuristic dream that has been lost. Across Japan, there are other abandoned wonders waiting to be explored. What do you think? Have you ever visited an abandoned place? Which theme park do you think will become the next ghost park of Japan? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more offbeat Japan content. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next adventure.